Hello, welcome to Quackalope, and today I thought I'd give you a behind-the-scenes look at the things that matter. So the odds and ends, the bits and pieces that I have behind me in my set here, that I showed a little bit of B-roll of in the kind of welcome to the new studio video, I thought I'd pull them out, at least some of them. There's still a few hidden pieces back there, but I thought I'd pull out some of them and talk to you about what they mean, why they're where they are, and give you a little insight into the stories that they carry. I'm a storyteller at my heart, and I don't hold on to a lot of things, but every now and then a piece or an object or a thing will inscribe itself into my memory, allowing me to carry sort of a narrative along with it. And so there's been a few items that I hope I never lose. Things that I will remain in the background of my set, and by watching this video you'll have an insight into not only where my mind is and my heart is, but also you'll have a little behind the scenes look at some of the things that matter. Some of the things that really matter when it comes to this channel, when it comes to me. That's kind of the goal. In the welcome to the new studio video I showed you the artwork, the concept, the core from where Quackalope started, and a lot of these items, honestly, are bits and pieces, storytelling elements that come along with Quackalope. I think probably 50% or more of them, and then there's a few items that are more personal to me. Things that I've held on to that remind me of something that I care about, or tell a story that I want to remember, or are objects of so much value that I just kind of stick them behind me to remind me of who I am, and so that I have a safe place not only to honor them and care for them and respect them, but also a home for them to stay, because this is the most clean and organized portion of my life. This set remains ready to film, whereas everything else is a mix of chaos and change and shifting. So I'm going to try to make this video a little tight. I'm not good at that. That's not really my skill set, but I'm going to go through each item, tell you what it is, give you some nice footage of it, and talk to you about why it is in the background and sometimes where it's positioned. So I want to start with a few items that set the narrative of Quackalope, and I'll probably go back and forth, some personal things, some Quackalope things. So let's start with our two little rubber ducks here. These are the two ducks that have been given to me by fans of the channel, but also good friends of mine in DC, both of which I didn't expect, both of which were early on in the career of Quackalope. I think we were maybe just at 1,000 subscribers or so, and I'd been playing games and talking to people about my ideas and what I wanted the channel to be, and of course sharing the ducks all around. And so a friend who is in the Navy from our local gaming store in Washington, D.C., Rachel and Liz, her wife, brought me a little sailor duck as my first sort of memento of ducks becoming a cornerstone of the brand. And then my friend William Lipcott, who you've seen here on the channel, brought me this graduation duck. And so they pop up from now and then, and they remain seated somewhere behind me. So those are two little memories, and let's pull another Quackalope initial thing here. The very first documentary we did on the channel was with Lenumbra. Lenumbra's Painted Cards, a friend of mine from college who was the first person to go viral on Reddit around full art Pokemon cards. So she hand paints and customizes these incredible Pokemon cards, and so this was the card that she was painting when I drove down from DC to Kentucky to spend the day interviewing her and watching her process and creating some really special content. The interesting thing is this documentary video was the video that pushed us above 1,000 subscribers, and she was kind enough, granted I did ask for it, but she was kind enough to let me take one of her cards, the one that she was working on during the video, and it has remained a part of the set from that day forward. I'm not only honored to have a card, but also incredibly grateful to have that piece, that element from a documentary that we were able to film. So I think that's really cool. Let's slash over into something maybe a little bit more personal. Debris by Shane Koizan and The Long Story Short. And I don't listen to CDs very often. In fact, I've never actually listened to this one. I have the digital version of it on my phone, but Shane Koizan is a spoken word poet and a musical artist in some ways. They set his stuff to tones, who has been one of the only artists that has stuck with me for, I think, close to 10 years at this point, maybe a little bit less than that. And so I've had the opportunity to see him live a few times in Washington, D.C., and so this last time that I saw him, I ended up purchasing a CD and getting him to sign it. And so this has just remained on the shelf as a echo to something that is incredibly important to me, to the music and words and language that has scripted and built me over the last few years. But then also as sort of paying homage to someone who I respect for the way that they use language and the way that they impact the world. If you're interested to look something special up, look up Help Wanted. That is the song or the poem that I had on repeat for a long period of time. So that is something a little more personal. Let's pull back over here to Quackalope. I have a pile of badges. So these are the conventions and pins from the conventions that we were able to go to last year. And while this year is seeming like conventions may not be as active, especially during the summer, as they were last year, I still remember and I'm excited for the next swing of convention season. I can't wait to see people and connect with people. Being at these locations, being there to connect with publishers and play games and meet fans have been some of the most salient moments throughout this journey. Moments where I've began to realize and actually see the progression of work and the progression of relationships and the community that we've been able to build. And the exciting thing is, over the next year or so, hopefully at conventions like Gen Con or Origins, I'm going to have the opportunity to maybe host some meetups and get some fans together and host some game nights. Like, I think that's something we're getting to the point where people would show up and we'd be able to actually connect with you and spend time and celebrate our weird love for both ducks and board games. So the two badges that really, really stand out to me are going to be my Origins badge from 2019. This is the first badge that ever was press and ever had the term Quackalope on it. So that one's pretty cool. I spent that convention, I think we were, still under 2,000 subscribers, and I spent that convention shaking every person's hand at every single booth and saying, "Hello, my name is Jesse. I'm not asking you for anything. I run a media site called Quackalope, and I just want you to know that we exist, and a year from now, I want you to remember me." That was sort of my sales pitch. That was my mentality. It was also the convention where I got to meet some incredible people at Leader Games, and I met Board Game Coffee, and I had the chance to meet Rodney from Watch It Played. And so it was an opportunity for me to first see and come in contact with these people that I admire. And so that was cool. It was a really special time. It was the first steps towards where we are now. And then the next badge that for me is really salient here is going to be the PAX, the PAX Unplugged badge at Philly. This was the first badge, or the first convention I went to, both a year earlier, before Quackalope was an official thing, when we were just being scrappy, trying to figure it out, walking around, saying we were going to do something. But then a year later, after Quackalope had launched, this is the first badge where I was there with Jan. And we both got to experience what 6 or 7 months of hard work and relationship building sort of resulted in. It was the first one where I felt like I was not just a guest in the community, or kind of a new member, but also like we both belonged. It was neat to be welcomed by peers and and have people be familiar with what we do, and have a few fans walk up and say that they liked the stuff we were producing. There's nothing quite like getting, 2 or 3 minutes to stand there and talk with someone who is invested in and feels like they know you because they've watched kind of the content you've put out. And I cannot wait to do that again. So, wrapped around here, let's go back to another vase. This vase actually sits behind me here, along with this bottle and this box. This is a vase that was handmade at the college that I went to, where I learned how to do film and photography. Berea College in Berea, Kentucky, close to where I'm living now. And it's one that's just, through moving multiple times and traveling, it has held flowers, it has remained empty, it has just survived. And so now it sort of holds this weird honored position, this sort of shattered, beautiful glass. I really like the amber and the style of it. And it just sort of reminds me of some of those past years. The school specializes in handcrafted goods and artisanship, and so it keeps me reminded of some of the roots that I have. So let's keep cycling through. Personal thing. Let's head back to Quackalope. So here I have a deck of Keyforge cards. Keyforge was one of the first things we fully reviewed on the channel, back when Keyforge was a brand new product and they were showing off and excited about the way that their card decks get algorithmically generated. And I was gifted a deck from my local game store because of some of the media work that I'd done for them. Remember how I did the documentary for The Number? Well, the second one I did was on Kathleen Donahue at Labyrinth Games and Puzzles. And so this was sort of the memento that I took from that documentary project. And it is the Builder Cleric of Labyrinth Games. So it actually has my store name attached to it there. And it reminds me not only of the work that I've done, but also the community and the store where I fell in love with board gaming. In Washington, D.C., I was disconnected from the city in a lot of different ways. And I'd work and go home and work and go home. And I stumbled across Labyrinth because I was exploring opportunities to play games and try out D&D for the very first time. And so it was and is the place that you can blame all of this on. And I've always promised Kathleen that when we hit, I think it was like 20,000 subscribers or something like that, I would issue her an award, both thanking her and blaming her for the community that she's built. So this always reminds me of that. Now, if you need a good place to buy your board games from during this kind of world situation that we're in right now, Labyrinth has just started their online distribution center, and I will leave a link down below where if you want to support a place that really, really matters to me, maybe go buy a game or two from them. It's only going to help the industry if you do. So let's keep moving around. I had some people ask about this box. I did some B-roll of it in the Welcome to the New Studio video. This is a box that my grandfather made. He did all the hand carving on it. He did everything here. My grandfather is a Shaker reproduction woodworker. I have another object of his that I want to show at a later date, a table that he actually made for me. And this is a box that he made for my mother. Now he had made boxes for a lot of people in our family. My sister, my grandmother each have custom boxes. I believe his 2 daughters and some of his daughter-in-laws. And so this is a music box that belonged to my mother back in 1999. So I can open it up here. So it has a little spinning dial with a song that plays, and this is something that's remained down here at my dad's house. while I've been traveling and really just not had the space to take care of it and keep it safe. But when I moved back, I put it directly behind me here in the studio space. It was a way to not only have a place to display it and have it remain salient and protected, but also it was sort of, in a way, for me, a mental way to just sort of keep that behind me, right? Keep it always there. My mom had breast cancer. I have the peacock and the ribbon on my arm, unfinished tattoos, of course. But so she passed away when I was younger, and so I have a few items of hers that I've held on to over the years, and so does my sister. And so this is one of them that probably means a lot to me. I didn't expect to stumble around as much. This is kind of embarrassing. So we'll move on to this picture here. This picture is with Justin Soley and Adam Poots from Gen Con, the very first Gen Con that I went to, and I am bald, and I have a $2 bill in the back. My dad has always been the type of person that likes to get a bunch of $2 bills and use them to spend, and I think they're sort of interesting that we actually have an active currency that is $2 bills. And so when I went to Gen Con for the very first time, way before Quackalope was ever a thing, I met Adam for the very first time. I helped Justin do a little bit of filming, and I gave them both $2 bills. And then last year, when I was at Gen Con as Quackalope, I have my badge right down here, Justin brought me this picture, and he returned the $2 bill that I'd given him. And that was cool. I mean, I've been part of the Kingdom Death community, and so it was partially that. He was excited to see me again and connect, but the fact that he would take the time to print out a picture, to hold on to the thing that I'd gifted him the very first time we met, and sort of and carry it with him and bring it back for me. So that's remained in the background there, not only reminding me of the time when my head was buzzed, but also just a memory of friendship in this community, and a photo that reminds me of sort of those times. There was a lot going on then. There's a lot of life shifting and changes, all of which ended up leading to starting Quackalope and starting all of this. So one of the last things that I have to cover here is going to be this bottle filled with Kentucky bourbon whiskey. This was made by my friend Dan, who you've seen on the channel. It was a beautiful bottle. He is a whiskey nut. He likes has a massive collection and likes knowing everything he can about whiskeys. And so he had a bottle that he thought was quite lovely, and printed out and inscribed a Quackalope logo here, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, as a gift to me before I kind of moved back to Kentucky. And first off, I'm absolutely thrilled about it, because having something with my logo on it is just still one of the craziest and most rewarding parts of this. The fact that people take the time to put something together, or celebrate, or just they want to gift me something that is my brand, the thing that I'm head over heels about, and that they want to celebrate it with me is really neat. But then also, it's cool because I'm from Kentucky, because I like bourbon, because it's, we normally sit on these shows with a cup in our hand, sipping away, and so it is nice to have a bottle that looks more official when I pour things out. So those are the things I wanted to share with you. They're not too fancy, but they matter to me. They're the important things, right? I'm going to be doing some more studio videos for you. I'm going to be doing some stuff on the equipment and technology that I use when I produce these videos. I've been thinking about going through some of my board game shelves, since I've been more purposeful with the way that I've stylized and built this set this time. Breaking everything down and having to rebuild from the ground up lets you put things exactly where they should be. But I just wanted to I thought it'd be neat to give you a behind the scenes. So I did. Okay. Thank you for being here. Everyone's support and the community that's been over in the Patreon and the Discord and the games we've been able to play, you all have transformed this experience. So, I'm really grateful. And I'm really glad I get to share these things, these bits and pieces, these memories and stories that I find valuable with a community of people who also are interested in them and will remember them and carry them. I think that's neat. It's cool that we get to be able to share our stories. If you made it to this point in the video, let me know an object you have sitting around or tucked away and what memory it holds. Something that if you had a set or a shelf, a place to put it as a memory, you would, or you do. I'd love to hear your side. If I'm sharing my stories with you, then we should all share a little bit. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'm thrilled to have this channel and to have this community. I love it. I really do. Whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Thank you.